So my bootleg camera, my bootleg devices, it stopped. I promise you I'm going to upgrade in the future. But we were talking about protective styling and how it's doing more damage than good. Um, when you go and get your hair braided, I don't let anybody touch my hair. No one. No one. I do my own hair because I'm very tender-headed. Not only am I tender-headed, too many people going bald letting other people touch their hair. When you get your hair braided, I don't care if you want these big old braids. If your edges are thin, if you're thinning in your edges, do not get humongous braids. I see people with 2 strands of hair braided into a big humongous braid. Not only is it pulling and tugging, it's putting tension and pulling. Hair loss. A lot of women aren't understanding what traction alopecia is and why it's being caused. I've heard people tell me, I do your weave. I do weave tight. I don't want a tight weave in my hair. I don't want something so tight that I can't lay down. You know why? Because it's just pulling and tugging and pulling. One of my friends came up to me the other day and he was like, yeah, I'm trying to get my hair twisted. I want it to grow and dread. Should I put the rubber bands on it? Because the rubber bands will pull it and tug it and make it stretch. I said, the only thing the rubber band's going to do is pull and tug. And when it's pulling and tugging from the root, guess what's happening? When you pulling and tugging, only thing, remember, it's strength. I have some of my some hair from, this is the Malaysian body wave hair. And I'm showing us an example. This is a strand, right? So if you was to take a strand of hair, right, and you constantly pulled it, the strand would pop. It would rip. The same concept when you get in these super tight weaves. It's pulling and pulling, and when it's ripping, it's thinning out the strand. So if you used to take this strand of hair and you kept pulling and pulling, it would thin out until it rips. And that's the same concept when you're putting in these tight weaves and braids. It's pulling. It's pulling. And then you have, that's why I never wear really long braids too. I don't care how thin the braid is. The braid could be thin as a freaking spaghetti noodle. If it's a big braid and it's pulling, it's pulling. That's one of my tips. Do not get these humongous braids, especially around your edges and especially not your crown. Places where you have thin areas, don't put tight braids and tight weaves and things like that. Protective styling with weaves, I do weaves too. But what I realize is I'm gonna avoid the closures. This is why. Brush out this closure a little bit. But tell you why weaves are very damaging. That's why it's important to go purchase good hair. Because a lot of people go and they buy hair from China. What the heck China know about getting Malaysian and Brazilian hair? That's why when I started selling hair, I wanted to make sure that my supplier was an official supplier. That they were really going to the source. Because there are temples and there's places that donate hair and sell hair. I don't want these chemicals. If you open up your pack of hair and it smells like a chemical, not only are you putting that in your hair, and people be washing their hair and stuff like that before they install it, but just still chemicals. You know what I'm saying? So be vigilant. Vigilant. Yeah, that's the word. And when buying hair, stop buying these real cheap bundles, because these real cheap bundles are they have chemicals on it. They've been processed, yada yada yada. So if you want to spend, if you want good weave, buy good hair. That's one of my tips. And that's not really a healthy hair growth tip. That's just a general rule of thumb. So with closures now, let me show you the reasons why I stopped using closures. If you do use a closure,